Making Plans for Nigel by XTC. Really cool song. It's got a bunch of different chopped up kind of parts that fit together really nicely, and basically two different guitars going. One that's just kind of more chords, and then one that does some really cool like accents for each part. So it just starts off here, and it kind of does this, after a drum intro, it kind of does this cool little like wah thing before it just kicks into the verse. And it's basically, you just hit like kind of the middle part of a G. So like the D, G, and B open. You just hit that, and like I said, you're going to want a wah effect on this, and I'll put a link in the description for the wah pedal I'm using here. And so you just hit those three, and you're going to want the pedal down, and then just kind of raise it up, bring it down, and then raise it up again. So it's something like this. Okay, just kind of like an on, off, on, off. And the first guitar comes in here, and it's basically doing the chords, but it's not just you know, straight up just strumming away every count on the chords. It does this thing where it kind of hits the bass note of the chord, and then it hits kind of the middle part of the chord twice. Okay, and it's going to start with a G chord. Okay, so you can just do it like bar chord style, so get a little more control over it. Okay, like I said, just hit the bass note, the 3 on the E, and then you hit the 5, 4, and 3 on the D, G, B. Just hit that twice. Just kind of short little staccato strums. Okay. Okay. And then we come over to an E minor, and same style with that. Hit the bass note, and then the middle of it, a couple parts. Okay. And then we end it with a B minor, and this one we do twice. All right, and you can get kind of, you know, a little loose with it and just a little more funky with it, I guess. Alright, and for the second guitar, why I think you hear the wah in the very beginning is because they have the wah pedal at about halfway up, so that you get a real like mid-range squawky tone with this. And I like to, you know, use like the middle pickup position too for this, because it's just real like kind of mid-range, got this squawky vibe to it. But it's basically going to be all the way up here, and it's kind of like an ostinato pattern where it just repeats throughout the entire progression the same way. And we're going to be at the 12. Okay, you can go 12 on the D and the G, and we're just going to do 14 on the G while hitting the 12D. We're going to do that twice, and then just pull off to the 12 and 12 on the D and G. Okay, so here, just like that. And it's just real short, choppy little notes here. And it just repeats that throughout the whole verse. Okay, a chorus will come in, and the first guitar, like I said, just more of the straight up chords. And even this part, it's just more straight up chords, not really like going between any parts of the chord. And it's just going to kick off with the A minor. Okay, 2 measures worth. And then we come over to a G chord for just 1 measure. The rest of these chords will just be 1 measure each. Okay, to a F. To E minor. And then E minor 7, so just lift the ring finger. Alright, and then we come to a D chord, and here it gets a little different, so we'll do a D chord here, and then we'll add the 3 on the E to get the suspended 4 D chord. Okay, and this will be one measure for the entirety of these chords. Okay, and then from there we do a kind of a funky thing, because essentially we're just bringing this, we're doing that throughout this D chord shape. So we come off of that suspended 4 where we were on the 3rd fret, and then we just bring it up to the 4th fret. Kind of a funky flat 5 chord. And then we can just end it on a D5 because we're just hitting the A again. So it would sound like. Alright, and during the chorus, the second guitar is doing a little more, a little busier thing than in previous spots. Basically, it's just picking through 12 on the D, G, B. Okay, and then comes back to the 12 on the G. Then 14 G, back to 12 G. And then just picks through that repeatedly, the same way. Okay, just like I said, it'll just repeat this all the way until we get to that part from the previous section. Alright, and once we get to the D chord, it just kind of follows that vocal line and what the previous guitar was doing. Okay, so, but it starts at here, we could just do it at 11, 12, 13, 14. Alright, and then the second guitar gets its own little interlude here, and it's kind of interesting because it's basically just still doing what it was doing throughout the chorus, but it just adds a new little element at the second half of it. Okay, so we're going to pick through those 12s again on the DGB, back to G, 14G, back to 12G. Alright, and then that'll be the first measure. Okay, we've already seen that. And then we do the 12-12 on the D, G. Okay, and then we finish it by doing this little bit where we're 11 on the D, 10 on the G, and we just hit that twice, and then bring it up 1 fret to 12 and 11. Hit it once and let it ring. And just repeat that twice. Okay, so it sounds like this. Alright, the bridge comes along, and this is pretty much just guitar 1, just chords. And it's going to kick off like here where we just do E chord, E major chord. Okay, 2 measures worth. Alright, and then we'll go to 1 measure each of F, C, and then G. And it'll be kind of a specific strum on G. And we're going to repeat that F, C, G 3 times. Okay, so you hit that initial E chord, then the F, C, G. Like I said with the G, we're going to do the bass notes first, so like top 3 strings, and then we can hit the top bottom 3 strings in between that. And just repeat that again. Okay, so it's that style. Okay. And then just carry 1 more measure of G by just strumming it a couple more times. Okay, so it'd sound like this. Alright, and then another interlude section here where kind of a more cleaner sounding guitar comes in and does similar to what the previous more squawky guitar was doing, but it's a little more kind of jazzy sounding, I guess you could say. And so it's kind of basically doing the same thing, but we're going to play more notes together here. So we're going to do like the 12 and 12 on the B and G. And then we do 12 and 12 on the G and D. Then we do the 14 G. Back to the 12 and 12 on the G and D. Okay. Here. And then we do 12 to 12 on the D and G. And then here we're going to do that ending bit from the second interlude where we're at the the 11 and the 10. Except we're going to do something here where we add a little more technique. We're going to slide up to it each time, just from one fret back. We're going to slide up to it like that. And then come back to the 11 and 12 on the G and the D. And after we hit that, we're going to add these little notes on the 12 and 12 of the B and E. They're just really fast, short little notes in between each hit of that. And we do it twice. Okay. So a little differences in there, but we'll try it here slowly. Okay, and then you just try to get it up to tempo here. Thanks for checking out the video, everybody. Like it, share it, leave a comment. It's always good to hear from you. Do me a favor and hit the subscription button. I put out a video pretty frequent, so you don't want to miss out on that. Check out the links in the description box below. I have really cool links for tablature books, all the gear I use, t-shirts, fun stuff like that. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.